Hello guys, welcome back to the One Auto channel. We're at Santa Pod, been here all weekend. Kindly invited by Andy at Maverick Diagnostics. Thanks for inviting us along, Andy.
No problem.
Andy's got a car, he'll show you some clips of that. We're going to have a fantastic weekend. Maverick Diagnostics, if anybody doesn't know, they basically do OE diagnostic equipment, don't you, Andy?
Basically, yeah, we're basically an IT support company that does OE diagnostic tools. So we sell and support diagnostic tools through the automotive aftermarket, and we also have a team of 80 master technicians to do vehicle technical support for all makes, for a vehicle end-to-end fix basically. So if you ring us up and say, I've got this that's broken, don't know how to fix it, we've got all the OE platforms, all the wiring diagrams, so we send it over to the workshop. We talk the technician through it, and on the other side, we look after all the IT for your equipment. So in other words, if you've got an OE Volkswagen tool, we upload the software, we fix all of that sort of stuff, and we'll even dive in remotely and fix the vehicles if you want to do that. So yeah, we're quite comprehensive in what we do.
Awesome. And then you can get you update them as well when the updates come through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we
phone
do.
Call, email, say it's due.
We'll automatically update stuff for you as well. We have a little app now which you can log in and say I want this updating, or we actually push the software directly onto your machine.
Oh, right.
It's all highly technological.
Yeah.
But I'm quite a basic guy. I like cars, so
yeah, sure.
This is why I invited Rob over to Santa Pod this weekend.
Absolutely brilliant. And there's a new thing you're doing now is a tech suite.
That's it. So that's like a combined thing where basically if you've got an OE tool, or you don't necessarily need to have an OE tool, if you've got an automotive diagnostic tool and you want fixes, we'll provide you all the fixes through our technical services as well. So that's like a monthly flat fee that you pay. We also have our own online portal which has got 1.1 million fixes on it. So this is not like Autodata or anything like that, it's a verified fix. So for example, you give us I've got a Volkswagen Golf, it's got a DTC, what is it, how do I do it, or I've tried all these different routes, that sort of thing. That's what we do basically.
So if somebody wanted an OE laptop, Volkswagen Audi, let's say, they can call you, they can
call us.
It, or?
What we would do, if you look at our YouTube channel, is we would consult with you and say, are you a registered company, i.e. have you got that number? There's a lot of prerequisites for the OEs for you to register. Most companies we can get through, to be fair. And once that's all up and rolling, basically they can have the OE tool. They're going to need training, they're going to need support, because it's not like using an aftermarket tool. When you use an aftermarket tool, you pay your fee, they add some software every year. This is very different. You're going to have to upload the software typically every month. It needs reloading, and you're going to need training, because obviously when cars come out of the factory, they get added to that tool immediately out of the factory. That's why they do the updates, and they change the system. Sometimes month on month they'll add things or take things away. The difference predominantly with an OE system is it's got a lot of guided diagnostic functionality on there. So once you train to use it, it's going to make your life a lot better, because you are going to ultimately be able to fix that brand of vehicle to the same level as the main dealer. And that's what we aim to do.
Okay, so if someone wants to specialise in a certain brand, it's OE really is the way forward, isn't it?
Absolutely. But the way we look at it actually is, once you bought the tool, a lot of these you can pay on an hourly fee. So you don't necessarily need to specialise. So you pay probably typically about $3.5 grand for a tool package from us with the training, and you won't have to pay a fee per year. You can pay it per hour, for example. So Volkswagen, good example, it's €10 an hour, and basically you then put that €10 as the customer's hourly fee. So it works out quite economic compared to some of the aftermarket tools where you typically pay, you pay £1,000 for a licence. I'm not going to name any on camera, but you pay £1,000 a year for a licence, and it's very hard to split that again across all your customers for the year.
Yeah, exactly. Who are you going to charge? What part of that?
I plugged that in, Mrs. Jones. I don't know what to charge you for that, really. But if you've got a tenner stuck on the bill for a diagnostic,
people are going to pay that.
Absolutely. So we've got guys out there, typically largish workshops where they might have 10 or 15 systems now across the board, where they're working with the OEs and they're uploading service data, because obviously service data has become very important. So we do stuff like BMW key readers, Daimler online portal stuff, setting you up with all of that. So
Great. Probably going to get noised out in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Difference. So somebody's bought an aftermarket tool, J2534 pass-through, compared to the OE equipment.
Okay, so you're still going to have to register with the OE to be able to use that portal.
Okay.
J2534 tool uses two protocols, 1 and 2 basically. The problem is, when the data gets downloaded from that portal, it goes much slower than using an OE tool. So say you pay your £10 an hour, you're probably going to need 2 hours to do that particular job. And they also don't sense ignition voltage on certain vehicles, Volkswagen being a big problem with this. We actually do run J2534 tools, approved tools, on Porsche and Mercedes, which is an active tool, but even with those we're having problems. And the reason we're having problems is that Mercedes now has a DOIP function which the tools don't cover. Right. So unfortunately, you spent all this time and effort registering it with the OE, you're using J2534 tool, and you are not getting anywhere near the functionality that you would get if you paid a few more quid and got the real tool. So I'll give you an example of this. We tested it the other day, programming on ISTA on BMW with a very well-known J2534 tool, which I'm not going to name.
Okay.
And it took 5 hours longer to do programming.
Okay.
On it, and that wasn't ISTA P, that was ISTA Workshop. So
it's a lot of battery support there.
It's
as well.
a lot of time. It's very long-winded doing BMW anyway. I kid you not. I mean, I've spent 8 hours using the real tool to update cars, but you know, things like that, it's a pain in the bum. J2534, we pioneered it back 15 years ago. We were selling it. We used to build a laptop and we used to split partition it into all different manufacturers, sell that with the J2534 tool, the Carback Plus at the time then.
Okay, yeah.
And to be honest with you, the technology's just gone too far ahead of J2534. It's a simple answer. You can use it quite successfully to do really simple stuff, but most people just give up in the end. You know, it's just not the answer. This is why we sort of turn to saying, right, get the right laptop, get the right device, get the right support, and you'll fly. Otherwise, you're struggling to get things done. And I think actually the guys that you've worked for have gone down that route, and they've actually turned completely to full OE, and that's why we support
full OE to everything. I mean, there's JLR, BMW, BAG Group,
Peugeot, PSA, which is now Vauxhall, Opel as well.
They've gone down that route, full OE diagnostic computers with the full support of Maverick, and the jobs are just done so more quickly. I mean, we find that we just get the customer in, they've got an engine light, an ABS light on, we agree a first hour of diagnosis, we'll give you a call if you need any more time on it. Often, you know, you can nail something down in the first hour if they need any parts, and then labour to fit those parts, and even programming. They get another call. Yeah, it's the way forward.
It's just really, as we say, right? You fix the cars, we do the IT. If you like messing around with computers for hours and hours, get a pass-through tool. Because believe me, by the time you've loaded the drivers, messed around, got everything to work correctly with the software, that is what you're going to be doing. Maverick started in 1999, so we're going 21 years this year. And we started, as I say, probably 15 years ago doing pass-through, and we realised ahead of a lot of other people that's probably not the answer, to be honest.
Certainly moved forward to the days where you had a CD-ROM and...
oh God, yeah. Oh Christ, yeah. Oh yeah.
Loaded that onto your laptop and then onto the car. No, very interesting. All I can suggest, guys, is go and check out the maverickdiagnostics.com website, and there's numbers there to ring the sales team and everything. Really good guys.
Right, cheers. Auto.
What?
Yeah, seriously. Well, it's got nitrous on it, but it's got dual auto. Amy's car, that wheelie every time it goes off the line. That's pretty good spot. Wheels start to be 60 foot.
the reaction time money yesterday, Mason Griffiths, but it wasn't perfect, it was mega perfect. He had all the zeros. Not just perfect, but mega perfect. Yeah, I like that. Perfect can be 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever afterwards, but that's the new one. Mega perfect is all the zeros. We make it up as we go along. Mega perfect Mason, as he will now be known forevermore.
Tell me about the fantastic drag car.
Okay, so it's going to talk you through the anatomy of a dragster. So one of the most important bits of the dragster are these, which are the tyres, which actually kind of wrinkle and expand and grip. These are things that launch off the line really quickly. We run these at about 4.5 psi. In a race they go up to about 5. They actually narrow and go straight up, and I know we've got some video yesterday of what they do, how they grip and twist at the bottom. Right, in order to not explode anything, we've then got a Ford 9-inch diff at the back. These things will be going forever. They're completely indestructible. This will take a couple of thousand horsepower without getting even upset. And then from there, we've just got a simple linkage down here, which goes to our box. And our box is a 2-speed, this is where it gets a bit weird, a 2-speed manual automatic gearbox. So in other words, it's got a torque converter. The torque converter is a high stall torque converter. So the stall rate's about 5,500 RPM, not like in a road car, about 900, 1,000. Okay. This has got a cooler on the box, and the reason it's got a cooler on the box is because of this little thing down here, which I don't know when you can get there, Rob. That is a solenoid. That is what we call our...
just down here,
That's it. That's what we call our trans brake. And that puts it in first and reverse at the same time. So when we're on the line, he revs it to about 4,500 RPM with the button held down, so it's in forward and reverse at the same time. And then lets go of the button, then all hell lets loose. So the tyres just go, whoa, and off it goes. So that gets really hot, and those couple of seconds he does that, transcooler gets red hot on that. So, go to the engine. This isn't a particularly powerful car, because the class we race in is all about reaction times, best dial-in times, which means we have to predict to the hundredths of a second how quick this car is going to go on any particular day to win the class. In the top 10 of our class, it is literally separated by thousandths of a second. It's not going to be that accurate. So this engine is a Chevy LS engine. Now, if you're not familiar with American engines, you will have definitely heard of the small block, which was, I think, the most mass-produced engine in the history of the world, over the Volkswagen Beetle and everything else. This is the newer version of a small block. This is an LS6 with LS1 heads, and it's running about 520 sort of horsepower, nice amount of torque. Now, we run it two ways. We run it with nitrous, or without nitrous. This weekend, because we've got some predictability in the car, we're running it without nitrous, totally. So, as it stands today on the track temperature, it'll run 9.31 seconds at about 144 mile an hour. But we've got to get it with hundreds of seconds again to win the competition. Okay, so engine, as I say, quite standard really. It's just got some nice pistons, some rods and a cam. But again, this is about reliability in this class, not having to mess around too much. We've got electric water pump, tiny little radiator.
Water cooled.
It's water cooled for reliability. If you run a car on things like methanol, obviously you don't need any cooling because the methanol runs cold. We run this, basically this is on Shell Optimax, this car. So it's actually cheap to run, easy to maintain. We pull it in, and the most complicated thing we have to do with this car usually is to decide what type of coffee we're going to have in between running it. So it's not really that complex. Bit of fuel in there. We run a mappable ECU. This one's by a company called Can-Ems, which we use on a couple of vehicles, race vehicles, because we know the guys. The engine was built by a company called Tim Adams Racing, who build a lot of Can-Am engines, the big blocks and things like that for historic racing. And it's been pretty reliable. This car's actually now been running for 5 years on and off without any problems.
Just an oil change?
Sometimes. Plug change now and again. Yeah, it's completely different to the top end of the field in Top Fuel, where they have to rebuild the engine every 10 seconds, really, literally every 10 seconds, I'm not joking. So we've got safety cell, bit of a firewall here at the back of there. Obviously we've got a fairly substantial harness in here as well. We've got a full 6-point harness in there. Okay. Bit of a strange control setup, dragsters, really. So they only actually have one pedal
Oh, one pedal, right?
Pedal.
Okay.
So we have one pedal, which is the big important one, which is the throttle pedal.
Yeah.
So the brake is here.
Okay. Yeah.
The gear shift is here, and as I said, it's a manual. So basically, you've got 1 and 2, and as he's driving along, you can put an air shifter on the back, but we don't do that. We just go bang into second, basically,
Right.
as he's going up there.
Okay.
That's the brakes.
Yeah.
On there, handbrake on there. This is very interesting. So, as before, I talked about the transmission brake.
Yeah.
That is what lets go the transmission brake. And you think, why has it got a big, stupid, long thing on it?
Yeah.
That is enough to cause a 0.1 of a second delay on the lights. So it's so crucial that it gets off the lights in as quick a time as possible, but not too quick, because if he goes too quick, he gets a red light and gets disqualified.
Okay. Right.
So Mason has the honour of joining a club which is called the Perfect Light Club. So he's actually had a 0.000000001 reaction time, which is mental. And without the button, you can't really do that.
I'll just show that. That's the Golf next door that decided to explode.
Yes, the 2-cylinder Carl Goldsmith Golf.
And put his hand inside the back of the engine and fill the gun on.
We do like to call him Top Fuel Carl because he throws another engine in every race meeting and then detonates it again. Carl, just my YouTube bit. How's the weekend gone, mate?
Awesome.
What's that there?
That's a chunk of piston.
Beautiful. It's like a little work of art.
Yeah, a bit of case. I did have a bit of piston oil ring.
Oh, oil control ring.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This we've got an oil squirter. That goes,
it goes underneath the piston off the block.
Hey, we can.
It's like amateur archaeology, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not sure what this is.
I'm not sure what this is, but we'll put it back in.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I'm leaving it here for a minute. It's still dripping at me.
Well, it did go really well up to this point.
Yeah.
If you just filter that oil, you can use it again.
No.
So yeah, dragsters are pretty simple things that are not actually that easy to drive, to be fair.
No.
You need quite a lot of practice to drive them properly, and to become a winner in drag racing is actually more difficult than you would think. For all you guys who circuit racing, I do circuit racing. I used to be a single-seater driver. I'm a hill climb champion. Yeah. It's very difficult. It's more difficult than you think doing this, to be honest with you. Yeah. This little toggle here, this is the oh shit toggle.
Oh, the oh shit toggle.
Which pulls the parachute. I better not do that because the pin's not actually in at the moment. So yeah, it's not a good idea to do that because it just springs straight out the back and I'll get shouted at.
That's it. So he'll pull that at the end of the run anyway, will he?
Not necessarily.
No.
Not necessarily, no. I mean,
you've still got brakes at the end of the day.
You've got brakes.
Yeah.
If he... Okay, so imagine this, you're going down, something goes horribly wrong, one of the tyres goes bang or something, the car starts to slow one way towards the wall.
Yeah.
If you pull the parachute, what happens? It just goes boop and straightens the car up.
Okay.
So it's like an emergency brake, really,
With
the
you.
parachute.
With you.
That's what it's for, really. Obviously, if you're a top fuel dragster and you do 300 miles an hour in 1,000 feet, you ain't going to stop. So you've got not on brakes, so you've got to have parachutes. This thing doesn't... Anything over 150 mile an hour, they say you have to have a parachute. Anything below 9 seconds, really, you have to have a parachute. So it's got to have one. Yeah. That tells us where we are, what lane we're in.
Lovely.
The front end on them looks like pram wheels.
Yeah.
Basically, what you've got here is these are motorbike rims, specially made hubs, and these are actually, I can't remember what they are, like a model something old Ford or Ford Prefect hubs or something.
Okay.
Originally. But the tyres are rated for something like 250 miles an hour.
250 miles an hour?
Yeah, so they're quite decent speed rated tyres that we have to have. These are ET fronts, they're called ET, which is a lapse time.
How long are these tyres lasting?
Years,
really?
To be fair. Yeah, I mean, because it's not a particularly powerful car, when we run the nitrous, it probably runs about 700 brake, the nitrous up. But these tyres, you've got stuff here running these tyres with 3,000 horsepower. Right. Don't get anywhere near that. So these have actually lasted quite a few years up to now. Yeah. So we change them. Yeah, probably change them every 3 or 4 years, realistically. Yeah.
That's incredible for me because I would have thought maybe every meeting you'd be changing them, but no.
No. So actually, drag racing is a cheap way to go fast. Yeah. Don't know what they're going over there, but it's a cheap way to go fast if you build a good, reliable car. And to be fair, we used to race in Volkswagen racing, and we ended up going into the American side of it because the parts are cheap. So typically, a set of rods for that engine would be about $1,000 for proper Carrillo, whatever, decent high-end rods and things like that. If you're going to get even a 4-banger, I built a Mazda engine recently, a race MX-5 engine. I think I paid £1,000 for the rods for that. Wow. You get 8 of them. Yeah. And you could buy a crank kit. It's like $2,000. Bastards. You can buy a crank kit and stuff like this for about $2,000 with everything. So American engines, that's why everybody uses them in drag racing. They are cheap and they are plentiful. Yes. You know? And a lot of people are going down this LS route as well because these are fuel injected, totally reliable, no carb. Switch it on, warm it up, and off you go. Yeah.
So you've got one fuel pump running it. There's 2 in there, isn't there?
There's 2 in there. One is a reserve pump, but we also run the second pump when we're running the nitrous system, because obviously nitrous uses petrol as well at the same time. So we've got both pumps running just as a reserve. Yeah. The last thing you want in any engine when you're going flat out is it to lean out, because it ends up like Carl's car next door with bits of piston in the sump. So it's totally knackered.
Marvellous.
That's it basically. Yeah. So it's a good, reliable car. It's and he's doing very well in the championship at the moment. Oh, actually, the driver's over there, but he's run away as soon as we try to get him on camera.
We'll try and get Mason on camera later on. So yesterday, Saturday, was qualifying day. Qualified 6th.
Qualified 6, yeah.
And today he's just had his first one and first. So it's elimination today on
elimination,
Sunday.
Yeah. So we never know with the elimination. So he's just got through. To be fair, the other guy banged a red, so hit red light, like I said before, you get disqualified for red. So unfortunate, but that's racing. That's it. So we actually broke out, which means we went a little bit faster than we thought we were going to go by a couple of hundredths of a second. So not even a couple of thousandths of a second, actually, to be fair. So. But that's again track temperature, track conditions. So hopefully we'll see how we go today. But you don't count your chickens in drag racing.
No, that's right. Awesome. That's fantastic. No, thanks for the talk through, Dan.
No worries. Cheers.
After the second round of the eliminations, but unfortunately
hit all the red lights. So that
red light.
Yeah, that was 0.002 of a second too fast off the line, so immediately loses the race.
Yeah, such a shame because his time was pretty good.
His time was actually bang on. He would have won that quite easily, but that's racing, unfortunately.
That's what it's about. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, we've come to the end of our day here at Santa Pod. I'd like to thank Andy, Maverick.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
It's like a fantastic weekend. Really good. So anyway, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye bye. There we go.
Quite used to it.
Am I in?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'll do a bit of that.
Do a bit of that.
Hello guys, welcome back to the One Auto channel. Today we're at Silverstone, the whole weekend we were at Silverstone.